Khushi, we can see you now. Oh, but we can't hear you. So I think you're gonna have to. I think you're still muted.
That's perfect. There we
All
go.
right,
I
wonderful.
can see you though, Kat.
Can you see me?
No.
All right, we're
Can
gonna have
everyone
to.
else can everyone else see Kat, or is it just
If I can
me?
get a, if there's any likes, if you guys can see us, just throw a like. If you cannot see us, definitely let us know in the Q&A. Good. Oh, there we go.
Perfect.
All
Okay, so
right.
it looks like
It's
it's
just
just me
us.
then.
It's just, it's just, it's
Probably
just
just
you
me.
and I.
It's the Mercury in retrograde. I'm blaming it on that.
That's okay. That's perfectly fine. Blame everything on that. Blame,
Yeah.
blame the whole week
Anytime
on
something
that.
goes wrong, it's just the Mercury in retrograde. That's it.
Uh, it's so great to have everyone on board for the webinar. This is our second episode of Office Hours. It's something that we introduced last month, and we're surprised as to how many teams actually want to join our calls. We're pleasantly surprised. Again, we're going to give it another minute or so just to let anyone else join because we had quite a bit of um, requests come in. And then we're going to get into the topic of accruals because that is what the office hours is about for today. Kushi, you can I think get the two polls activated right away. I'm gonna
So they're
let
just
everyone know
yeah,
about that in about a minute.
yeah. That's good.
But feel free to turn them on already, and then I'll just introduce everyone to that piece as well.
So the first one's on, and the first two polls are on. It's just a poll to help us gather a bit more information and some feedback on the sessions we do. So if you can just navigate to the poll section and let us know what you think, we would really appreciate that.
I think I'm already going to get started. And if anyone is delayed, that's okay because the webinar is anyway recorded. So again, for anyone who hasn't joined in our first episode, we're going to be doing these calls, these kind of webinars every month or so with different topics. Basically, we want to talk about different features of Vacation Tracker, talk about, again, different topics, some introductions to Vacation Tracker in different in using the Vacation Tracker in different ways than maybe you're using it currently, just to get people a bit more familiar with the system and to make sure that we're also receiving feedback from you guys. So although this webinar you guys can currently only hear and see me and Khushi, the Q&A section on the left-hand side of this webinar is there for any questions that you may have throughout the webinar and for any feedback as well. We also have these couple of polls that we're going to introduce as well, two that Khushi has already turned on that you're able to vote on that give us a little bit of feedback first on this call, and if it was good enough. If the information was valid enough for you guys, but also a poll basically on information that you want to hear about in the future and some other webinars that you may want us to some topics you may want us to focus on the different webinars. I apologize. It's a Wednesday. Apparently, I haven't had enough tea today, so I'm all over the place with my points. Okay, so as mentioned, the Q&A section is there for the questions. Feel free to write out the questions at any time. We're going to go over them after I go through the introduction of the accruals and any of the settings, everything we're going to talk about. We're going to have a section where we're going to go through every single question. Kushi's going to write out the answers. I'm going to respond. And if there's anything additional, again, that we need to discuss further after the call, we're going to email you directly, or you can send us an email depending on what the topic is. So that's also something that we're gonna mention as well. There's an additional piece that we kind of added last minute. We created a survey really quickly about the topic for accruals. Our development team let us know that there are a couple of improvements for accruals that we're actually working on currently, and so we just want to get a little bit of feedback on that as well. So I'm going to send you guys basically a message in the Q&A with the link of the survey right now at the beginning of the call, and I'll send it again at the end of the call to make sure everyone gets a chance to go on that survey and to fill it out and to let us to give us again a little bit more feedback about the improvements that we're currently working on, if they're going to be useful for your team, and if you have other improvements that you actually would like to see. So in the Q&A section, I'm going to paste that link for everyone. You can open it up now and just answer it later on. I'm going to paste it again at the end of the call to make sure that everyone has it. So that being said, I think I'm just going to go straight into a little bit of introduction for accruals. I apologize if everyone in the call already knows what accruals are, but just a really quick kind of clarification regarding accruals and what it actually refers to. So accruals are, as you guys know, probably a system where an employee actually earns their PTO or their leave rather than actually getting everything up front. And so the way that that would work is depending on how much I've worked, or how many hours I've worked, how many days I've worked, I earn a specific amount of leave that's then assigned to me. In Vacation Tracker, you can actually assign accruals to any leave type. We talk about PTO accruals because that's the most common one, but we've also seen companies that have the accrual option turned on also for sick leave and a couple of other leaves too as well that are maybe a little bit customizable and company specific. One thing I also really want to mention is the difference between accruals and prorating. We saw a little bit of a confusion there over time regarding the accrual feature rather than the prorating feature. So I want to clarify the difference between those two. So accruals is when you are earning the amount of leave and you are and the users are earning that quota over time, whether it's one time a month or semi-monthly or bi-weekly, usually matches the payroll as well. Whereas prorating is based on um, us letting you know how many days you have for the rest of the year. If, for example, that user has started somewhere midway throughout the year or at a different time throughout the year. So, for example, if your accounting year is from January 1st to December 31st, and the employee starts sometimes in April, prorating is basically going to say, okay, well, that user isn't going to get the full quota of the 20 days. We're going to only allow that user to earn we're only going to give that user the quota from April all the way up to December. So it's going to be a smaller amount of quota of, let's say, 16 days rather than 20 days. So it's a little bit different because the prorating is specific only for the first year when the employee is starting to work in the company. And the accruals is something that happens every year. It can happen for any leave type, and it's based on how much you worked and you earning that leave amount based on how much you worked inside of the company. So that's a difference. Again, I apologize if this is kind of obvious for some of you, but I know that there was a little bit of a confusion, so I wanted to mention it just to clarify that piece. Now, um, when it comes down to the accruals, again, like I mentioned, usually related to payroll, we understand the importance of accruals, hence why we worked really hard to introduce accruals and to make sure to offer as many options as we can when it comes down to the earning of accruals. We've tried to match the most common requests for the payroll periods, which is the monthly, semi-monthly, and biweekly, and that's what we have currently in our system. One thing that I'm going to mention a little bit later is this is something we definitely want to expand on if companies are interested in having other timeframes as well. But that's something we can talk about as well later. And basically, one more thing to kind of mention as well, besides the connection to payroll, is also the fact that these accruals are a part of our complete plan. So if there's anyone here in the call that's not part of our complete plan, that's on the core plan and isn't currently able to see accruals, you can definitely test it out if that's something that you're interested in. You would just let us know either during the webinar or send us a message via support so we can let you guys try out the feature if you haven't had a chance to do so yet. So I'm going to share my screen and show you guys basically the settings of accruals and how it works so far. Again, it may be familiar to some of you, but I'm just going to go through the steps the way we usually go through in the demos, and then after that, we're going to get into some of the questions, and we're going to talk about a little bit about the improvements that we're going to introduce, and see if you guys have any requests on your end. So just one moment, please. All right, I'm sharing my screen, so if everyone can just let me know if you're able to see it. You should be seeing the dashboard, and just a like with an emoji or anything like that will be sufficient. Thank you. All
I
right,
see
so
it.
thank
See
you.
the lights coming through. Love that.
Okay,
It was
so
nice to see.
it is actually honestly for the Zoho webinar, considering the fact that we switched the tool, I love the little reaction tool.
Yeah,
All
it's
right,
the little validation really
yeah,
gets you going.
yeah, exactly. Okay, So this is the dashboard. You guys are probably very familiar with it. I'm not going to go into too much details about anything else. We're going to go straight to the settings for accruals because that's where we want to focus on in this call. So our accrual settings are under the settings option, the left-hand side menu under locations. In each location or in one location, if that's what your company has, you have the general settings, leave policies, and holidays. One thing to keep in mind is the leave quota reset based on setting that's under the general settings under the location settings it also affects your accruals, right? So that's something to keep in mind. If the leave quota is reset based on user employment date, that means that we're watching the contract date of that employee, right? And we're calculating from the moment of when they started working until their anniversary, right? If we're looking at accounting year, fiscal year, whatever you would like to call it, calendar year, then we're looking at a specific date that you've set for that location, and we're doing the calculation based on that year that you have set inside of inside of the location. So one thing to keep in mind, this is definitely one of those settings that affects the accrual calculation as well, and that's under the general settings of the location itself. Under the leave policies, we have the different leave types. I'm going to just focus on the paid time off because that's the most common for accruals. Again, this can be set up for any other leave type as well if that's what you require. So under the leave types, we can go to paid time off, and then we have a few different options here when it comes down to the accrual. So the most important piece, of course, is the yearly leave quota, and this is where we kind of watch the number of days, and our system for accruals takes this into consideration for the core of the calculation, right? So how many days are you giving them for the year, and how are we going to disperse that throughout the year? So we can put a quota of, we're going to just start off about 12 days here, just to make this calculation even simpler. And we're going to go down to the accrual section here, where we have different types of accrual periods. So we have monthly, which means that the user is earning the accrual one time a month. Most common, it can be the first of the month or the last day of the month. We have the semi-monthly, means the user is earning this leave two times a month. So this is usually 15th and the 30th, first and the 15th. That's the most common, and that's the most common days for semi-monthly. And then we have bi-weekly, and this is one of the scenarios where the user can earn their leave either on every second Friday or every second Thursday, every second Monday, whatever matches the company's needs. Now our system takes into consideration, of course, the calculation of the quota. Let's say we're just going to start off with monthly to make it a little bit simpler. So we take the calculation of the quota. The system says, okay, that's 1 day per month that the user is going to be earning on whichever date we've chosen for when the accrual is going to be awarded. Again, most common at the end of the month or the first of the month. And so the user are we able to, sorry you guys, I had a little bit of a freezing situation with the screen. So I hope
I
everyone,
was wondering, I was like, "Wait a minute,
yeah,
is it me or is it
no,
not?"
no, 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 it was me. It was me. I apologize.
Just it's
So
just Mercury again. Sorry for the inconvenience, guys.
sorry, guys. So one thing to keep in mind when it comes down to the calculation for the accruals is our accruals are based on the fact that the user has to work that time in order to earn the leave. So if we're looking at this monthly accrual, the user has to be working from the 1st to the 30th in order to earn leave on the next on the 30th or the first of the following month, right? Rather than giving the days up front for that type of accrual. So here we have a current accrual period of April 1st to April 30th, right? So the user has to work from April 1st to April 30th to get their first day of accruals on May 1st. So this is something to really keep in mind when it comes down to how the current system works. And again, we'll talk about the improvements and other options we're going to introduce, but this is how it currently works. We also have the semi-monthly, which of course means that they're earning two times a month, 15th, 30th, first, and the 15th. Again, you're able to select the accrual period. You're able on certain, of course, based on certain of options, you're able to choose when the accrual is going to be awarded on, and the system will give you a calculation of how many days or how much leave the user is actually going to earn on those dates. So in this case, we're taking 12 days and we've put it into semi-monthly. So now the system is saying, okay, instead of earning 1 day per month, the user is going to earn zero point 0.5 days on the 15th and the 30th, because that's what I've selected in the next accrual awarded section. So again, it's all automated and it automatically assigns this quota over to the users. And then we can almost also switch over to the biweekly. And the biweekly is going to be slightly different than semi-monthly. And again, for everyone who kind of has worked in the payroll systems, you'll probably already recognize this yourself, because it's every second weekday, and it's a specific weekday. The number, the amount of quota is going to depend on how many of those weekdays actually are in 1 year, right? So with the 2 times a month, that's a little bit of a different story, because there's always a first and a 15th of the month, right? There's always a beginning and a middle, or a middle and an end of a month. But with the biweekly, it's a question of how many Tuesdays or how many Fridays are in 1 year. So the system does a little bit of a different calculation based on the year, based on the number of weeks. And those specific days in the year. And again, it gives you a nice little breakdown of how many days they're going to accrue. So when it comes down to the accruals, what we usually suggest, no matter which setting you choose, whether it's going to be semi-monthly, bi-weekly, if it's going to be a monthly accrual for the quota, the brought forward settings ideally should be enabled in order to allow any type of accrual for the last month of the year to be transferred over into the following year. So we generally see this brought forward setting enabled when people are using accruals, but there are some cases where maybe a company is going to have it disabled. In case you have that disabled, if the user is earning a leave at the end of the month, let's say, so December 30th, it's going to be a little bit inconvenient for that user, because that day, or the quota they've earned on the 30th, they're not going to be able to use. They're going to have a very short limit of when they're going to actually be able to use that leave. They have to do it within the day that they've actually earned it. So the brought forward settings, what we've seen, is generally enabled when people are using accruals. In the case that that the company that does not actually allow brought forward settings to be enabled, and you're using accruals, I would, especially during this call, I'd love to know how you guys would then provide that last earning amount of the quota to the users. But again, that's something that we can either discuss in the Q&A if anyone does that, or that's something you guys can definitely let us know via email or via chat, so that we can better understand how you guys use accruals inside of your company. So these are the basics of the settings of the accruals. These accrual settings here affect this specific leave type and any of the users that belong to this location. The yearly leave quota we have set here is the basic quota that's set for this location. But if a user has a customized quota, which again, most of you guys are probably familiar with the profiles of the users and being able to have different quotas. If the user has a different number of days for a quota, our system is going to use the customized days for the actual calculation. So let's say that this user, we're going to change the number of days that the user actually has for the quota. We'll apply the quota for the future years as well. We can click on this update, and the system will automatically give us a different calculation, because this user, of course, has more days in the location itself. We've overridden the rule that we had for the location itself. So this is an important piece to also keep in mind if you have any customized users and their quota as well. Um, and of course, again, to keep in mind, I mean, your quota for a specific leaf type may be a little bit different than a quota for a different leaf type. Our system watches those numbers and has that kind of correct calculation all throughout the year. The days are assigned to the users. A user is able to see how many days they've accrued so far. That's something that they can see both on their profile pages. They can see it through the bots from Microsoft Teams and Slack integrations. And they can also go over the little question mark on next to the accrue days on their profile, and it'll let them know how much they've accrued so far and how much they're yet to accrue and when. Additionally, there's a little logs tab here where you can see a little bit more information on the accrual for the user. So if you need more of a breakdown, our system watches the accruals and logs them under the logs tab here, so that admins are able to review this information as well as necessary to review when the users have accrued and how much they've accrued. And again, when I was editing the quota, I'm just going to again mention it. I apologize if this is something that's obvious to to you guys, but just a really quick mention. There is an option here for prorating. It's something that we've recently introduced. Again, prorating is specifically used only for the initial year for the user. So it's not something that's tied over per se to the accruals. And it's something that you can turn on for any initial year for any of the users, especially for the new employees that you're going to import into Vacation Tracker, so that the system prorates them for that first year within Vacation Tracker if that's something that you offer as well. So again, a little bit of a different, it's a different feature than the accruals itself. Okay. And I just want to double check if there was anything else that I wanted to mention regarding the accruals. I think I've kind of gone
think
through
you
everything.
covered most of it, yeah.
Yeah, I think I covered everything. I would the only piece that I would additionally mention is under the leave policies and under the settings, for the accruals or for any leave type really. The allow negative balance is one of those options that you guys can use to allow users to apply for more days than they have or they have earned. So we say more days than they have if the company is not using accruals, because then they get their days up front, right? But if the company is using accruals, the allow negative balance is also something we've seen a lot of companies use accruals, because then they allow for the users to apply for the days in the future even though they haven't earned those days yet. Now this is maybe a little bit more of a flexible type of policy, and it may not really fit everyone's internal policies, but again, it's an option that you guys have currently within Vacation Tracker. And I think that that's basically it for how accruals currently work. I do want to mention a couple of things. Maybe they're already in the Q&A, but I'm just going to mention them really quickly. And then if they're in the Q&A, we're just going to have the answers already. So two things that I do want to mention is what we're currently working on for the improvements, what we want to currently work on the improvements, I apologize, is we want to allow companies to basically allow users to um, earn the accruals in advance. And how would that work? So instead of what we just talked about, so instead of you having to work from April 1st to April 30th and then us giving you that quota on the 30th, there have been companies that have been requesting to actually receive that quota right on the first of the month. So they're basically receiving it in advance. Um, it's not the most common request, but it has been common enough for us to actually introduce that type of improvement. So basically, the accrual period starts at the beginning. Rather, the accrual happens right at the beginning of the accrual period rather than at the end. Um, Again, it may not fit all of the companies, so this is something that companies will be able to choose. But it's something that we want to introduce because it's been highly requested for the accruals. That's the first piece, and the second piece that we want to allow is for employees to be able to request leaves in the future for even though they haven't been able to even though they haven't actually requested the amount, but haven't accrued the amount, but only for and up to the maximum days that they can actually accrue. So we would put a limit. So it wouldn't quite work like the allow negative balance, because there would be a limit as to how many days you can even book in the future. We will be looking at the total number of days that you can actually earn of the quota for during the accrual period. So that's the two improvements we currently want to work on. Those are the two improvements that I've actually mentioned in the survey as well. But we left an option in the survey to actually give you guys feedback on the improvements as well that you wanna maybe see us introduce. So that's basically it from the presentation itself. Kushi, we can go into the questions. I can see that we already have a few, so we
Yeah,
can
we
go
have a
ahead.
couple to get to,
Sure,
so
sure.
we'll jump right into it. David Shree is starting with the question that he would like to know if there's an option to set up a buyback request.
So I'm going to assume that you're referring to them being able to buy back their leave, as in you're taking away the quota from them and you're giving them cash. If that's and you're paying for them instead of actually giving them that leave quota. I'm assuming that that's what you're referring to. Um, that is on our roadmap. It's not something It's not something that we have available yet. As a workaround, what you can do is you can edit the quota at the end of the year. We've been seeing that for some companies that offer this option. They would edit the quota for the user on the user's profile page and lower the quota at the end of the year for however much they've given the users to kind of buy back of that quota. So technically speaking, you can do it currently manually by going on their profile page and changing the quota at the end of the year to reflect how many days they've actually kind of bought back. But we don't have an automated system for it yet. Are we planning to introduce it in the future? For sure. And it's on our roadmap. It's something we want to work on, but it's not going to be introduced not this year.
Perfect. So hopefully that's good enough for Devashri. The next question is by Raul, and he's asking, will the user be able to request time off that's more than accrued but less than the quota without letting them take more than the quota allows?
Yeah, well, so that's exactly what I just mentioned, and that's exactly the improvement. One of the improvements that we want to work on right now. It's mentioned in the survey as well. So if definitely if it's something that affects your team, definitely make sure to answer that in the survey so that we have as many votes as possible, so that we know that we're on the right track. It seems to be something that a lot of people requested when it comes to the accrual feature. So for sure, so, one of those improvements that we're currently working towards.
Soon. Hold on. We're almost there. Then the next question is by Alvin, and he's asking, can you allow negative balances for select people instead of the whole policy for a team?
Not at this time. Not at this time. Our leave policies are directly tied to the location itself, and they're not tied to users. I don't think that this is something that we're going to introduce in the future. Um, but we may implement it maybe possibly as a rule in the future. That's something that we would have to kind of discuss more. We don't have anything upcoming for the futures for this year or for next year that would kind of match or give you the ability to customize policies per user. So at this time, it's only per location, and then of course per leave type as well.
Perfect. Hopefully, Alvin is satisfied with that answer. Another question by Alvin again. Please allow us to accrue carryover balances for leaf types by 2 decimal places without forcing roundouts. So I'm assuming that was a suggestion, not a question. My bad.
Yeah,
But
that's okay. To yeah, I do want to just talk about that a little bit. So the reason why we don't currently do it and allow kind of more decimal places, it's basically based on the fact that we're not allowing users to request more than maybe an hour off, 2 hours off. That's the kind of maximum smallest time interval we've introduced. And so because we introduced that kind of limit on the smallest time interval, we then had to put a limit on the decimals as well because of the same situation, and because of the way that the back end works. Um, we're definitely looking into expanding that and allowing more decimal places, and then possibly even allowing maybe people to take a half an hour off. But we're trying to find a good balance between still staying a leave tracking system and not really going into time tracking, and not really going into tracking less than half an hour or something like that, because then it's almost a time tracking rather than a leave tracking system. So um it's definitely something that we're discussing internally, especially the decimal places. We understand the concept of putting in some more detailed information into the quota section. So we understand that, but like I said, we have to find a good balance of allowing that and at the same time not allowing users to take that kind of smaller time intervals, and making sure that it all balances out, it all works together.
perfect. So the next question is by Jennifer. She's asking, if the company sets your allowance at the beginning of the year, can you request ahead so that we can approve in advance? But we want to calculate their accrual. So,
Can you request ahead so we can approve in advance? I
but
think
we
I
want
think
to
that's basically exactly what we talked about earlier as one of the improvements. And Jennifer, let me know if it's not, if it doesn't match what you guys are asking. So basically, what we want to introduce as an improvement is to allow employees to request for for the leave in the future. Let's say I've only accrued 2 days so far. It's February month, but I want to request a leave for July, for 5 days of leave. We want to allow those users to request that and for the approvers to be able to approve it, but to put the max as the number of days that you can accrue in 1 year, right? So you'll never be able to go over your 12 days of the year, right? You're not going to be able to request for more, whereas the allow negative balance currently allows you to do that. So I think that's exactly that improvement that we're currently working on. And again, if that's something that affects your team, definitely in the survey that we sent out, um, great. Okay. So if it, definitely in the survey that we sent out, put that check mark so we have that vote as well to make sure that that we're kind of again on the right track.
Perfect. So hopefully, Jennifer, that works for you. Let us know by email as always if you have any other questions or any other concerns regarding a feature request. Another question or last question from Alvin. He says, "Is there a way to leave notes slash comments on every user visible to just the administrators to leave notes on circumstances related to the particular user?" Wow, that was a tongue twister. But
I
so
understood.
hopefully that's clear. Do you want me to repeat that, Kat? Or
No, I'm good. I'm good.
okay.
Thanks for the question, Alvin. Currently, what we are planning to work on, it is a notes. It is a notes option on the user's profile page, but I'm not sure if that would match what you're actually requesting. So this is a little bit interesting because it's a little bit different from what we've had requested in the past and what we thought to work on. So from my understanding, what you're basically asking for is for the administrators um, to leave notes for each other almost pertaining to a specific user on a leave. Um, it's interesting. I don't think we actually even have that on the roadmap, but I can understand why that would be that would be needed, especially if you have a lot of administrators. So I think this is one of those points that we can definitely take to the team for further discussion and see if that's something that we can do. There's a couple of things that we had been requesting so far. One is notes, but more in the context of having notes on the user's profile page rather than on a specific leave type, so not tied to a leave type, but tied to a user. That's what we've had requested. And the second piece that we had requested was for users to put attachments for their leave types. That's for their sorry leave requests. So that's something that we've had requested. So this is a little bit different, but we can definitely discuss it internally and see if that's a possibility. And if it is, we'll put it on the roadmap and hopefully introduce it sometime in the future.
Perfect. So the next question is from Carla. She says, "Vacation days do not expire with us. Is there a way to ignore this?"
For sure. The most important thing to keep in mind when I hope that we're referring to the brought forward days, not to the actual quota. If we're referring to the brought forward days, and that means that users can bring forward any unused days from the previous year into the next year, um, and then just keep accumulating days over time. You want to just make sure that the brought forward settings are set to all, and you want to make sure to turn off the option for brought forward settings to expire. And this way, you're going to just continuously accumulate a number of days. We've seen teams that have, and some users that have up to about 50 to 70 days accrued over time and earned over time. I hope they take some vacation soon, but it is definitely a possibility to keep doing this.
Perfect. Hopefully, Carla is satisfied with that answer. The next question is by Bora. She says, "We provide for a certain amount of leave hours, 48 hours. Is there a way for our staff to submit hours earned in half an hour increments into a leave type? We then, as an administrator, can approve them on a line basis, which would then be added to their total quota."
That is exactly a feature that we are currently writing specifications for. It's basically like the time off in lieu, which is exactly what you're talking about, and that's exactly how we're well, not exactly, but in a sense, planning to also introduce it so that you are actually the users will be able to not only request a leave, but they'll also be able to apply for these types of in lieu hours, days, whatever it may be, of overtime work, and so approvers will be able to approve that, and then the quota will be added to that specific leave type that they applied for. So for sure on our roadmap, and we would love to introduce this year already. That's kind of our plan, to be honest. If you'd like, we can definitely add you to the beta testing list. If you're interested, just please send us your a message with an email address. Maybe send us a chat, whatever you'd like. Even during this call, you can send the message in the Q&A. Just make sure we have your email so we can add you to the list for the beta testing for that feature if that's what you're interested in. We kind of, again, specifications and all of that, it's going to take a couple of months to actually release it into beta testing. But again, if you're interested, then we'll reach out and you'll be one of the first teams to get to try that out.
Perfect. So the next question is from Michelle. She says, we have a 5 cash out day PTO day policy, but I end up keying the 5 PTO days used as cash out option in the last days of the month before they reset. However, I cannot key those dates if they are using them for real PTO days as well. I would like to know if there's a workaround for this when the cash out slash buyback option is added.
Okay. So for this type of, especially because we want to kind of make this type of automation, I think the best thing, Michelle, here I could say is um, we're gonna take this feedback and then we're just gonna reach out to you. We're gonna have someone. Maybe I'm gonna do the call. Maybe someone from the development team will do a call, and if we can just do either a quick call or maybe a kind of a back and forth on the emails, just so you can give us a little bit more details. I think I kind of understand the context here, but I have a few more questions, follow-up questions for this. So we're just going to reach out to you and for a little bit more information here, and get that for you, so we can have that feedback for when we introduce this type of feedback with this type of feature. But this type of feedback is always great, and these type of questions are always great. It really helps us understand in which direction we should go with when it comes down to these features.
Perfect. I guess that was the last question we had. Just some confirmation from Jennifer saying it sounds about right. Good to know that we were on
Wonderful.
the nail with that one. Bora says, please let me know. And Barryman says that he would also be interested in the beta testing.
Wonderful.
So
Okay, so
good
I,
feedback.
I think we've kind of gone through everything. If you guys do have a moment before we kind of end the webinar, we have the polls that should all be turned on. Because if we had a chance to turn all of them on
Yes.
yet, there should be three
The last
polls
one.
on
Yeah.
there. Okay, there should be
The
three
last
polls
one.
on there, so feel free to answer those questions. And I'm going to again copy paste the survey link as well regarding specifically related to the accruals and improvements. In case that we didn't mention any of the improvements so far, you can go into the survey and write out a little message about what kind of improvement you'd like to see when it comes on to the accruals. Gidget, I see the message from you. I'm interested in beta testing too. I'm assuming it's for the time off in lieu, so we'll add you to that list as well, and reach out to you as well. So, and again, just a really kind of quick comment while you guys are going through maybe the answers and and the questions. Um, if you guys are ever interested in some sort of feature and we let you know, hey, listen, it's something we're working on or it's in the roadmap, definitely let us know that you either want to be part of the beta testing or you want to give us some feedback or provide us some more information. We're more than happy to hear from you. It really helps us build the correct and the best kind of feature for you guys. Okay, thank you guys so much. Susanna, I can see the message there. We'll definitely add you to the list as well. um, and again, thank you guys so much. We'll leave another couple of minutes. We're gonna turn off the cameras and everything. We're just gonna leave another couple of minutes while everyone is still online to answer any additional questions. And then we're gonna end the webinar. So thank you guys so much. Thank you for your time. Thank you for joining us today. And we hope to see you in our next episode. Thanks, guys.
You guys see you at the next one. Bye.